So the idea is that I'm going to do a demo of Finch to start with. After, so just so you get a feel for what we're going to do during these hours here, and after the demo is done, we're going to get you signed into the platform, add you to an organization, and so on. And after that, we're going to start the workshop where you can follow along and build your own script and build your own project in Finch and finally get it out to Revit. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Very nice. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to just shout them out. I will try to answer them. Okie dokie. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. And Ruben, if I'm freestyling or forgetting something, feel free to just interrupt me.
I usually do, so that's
fine. Okay, so this is Finch, the platform. It's a browser-based platform we're going to have a look at today. And the workflow we're going to go through is that we're going to start in Rhino Grasshopper and create a complex shape, fairly complex shape at least, with a nice mesh. And then we're going to send that from Grasshopper into Finch, and then at the end of the workshop, it's going to end up in Revit as a Revit model. So that is the gist of it. And let's jump into Finch just to see what you can expect. So the thing we're going to do, I'm going to go into a empty building here. Let's see. There we go. This is the same project. This site actually comes from Forma. So when working with Finch, you always have to send a mask from another software, or that can be Rhino Grasshopper, as we're going to have a look at today. It can come from Autodesk Forma. It can come from Revit, and we have an ArchiCAD extension under development. It's expected to come next year. But so you start with your context and your mask in one software, you upload it to Finch, just as we're going to do. And in Finch, I'm going to jump into story to show you what we're going to do today. So I'll simply select story, and I'm going to generate a circulation and a unit mix. And I click generate unit mix and circulation. And then my optimization algorithm starts here, and I can input a lot of different things, for example, maximum egress distance and so on. So if I were to force the algorithm now, just to say one stairwell, you will see that you get a warning here. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea based on the egress distance that you specified in your input. So I'm going to go back to the recommended 3 stairwells here. And of course, here's a lot of different setting dimensions and so on, how wide and big your core and your hallway, your walls and so should be. But I'm going to go with this one now. There you go. And anything you generate in Finch is also editable. So I can say, I'm going to select this wall and say that I would like this one to be 24 feet. I'm going to align this wall with this wall. So it is a proper BIM editor basically running in the browser. And you can change wall width and all kinds of things. So here I have my circulation. I'm happy about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and generate my unit mix. So I select the surfaces where I would like to do that. I click generate unit mix around existing corridor. And we're going to go through all this more in depth later. I'm just showing you what the capabilities are here. And the unit mix asks for a number of things. The unit mix, of course, I've specified here 500 square feet, 750, and then the distribution between the different ones. And as you can see here, although we have a fairly complex shape, we have a very high precision down to the square foot actually here. And of course, in a building like this, there's always a couple of apartments that won't fit exactly, since the building is probably not dividable at the precise square foot based on what you put in here. And then we have some different things to steer the algorithms. For example, grid lines, one of my personal favorites. If I put them on and just pull up this slider here to just maximize the grid lines, then the optimization algorithms try to find the best solution that adheres to the grid line but still respects the unit mix I'm asking for. So, and this is a great use of computation power, you know, testing a lot of iterations instead of me, you know, trying to find this solution. Now I'm going to apply this to my story. And once again, I can always, as a designer, say, oh, 1,000 square feet, yeah, sure, that's what I asked for, but I would like to align this one with the corridor instead. I think that's a more elegant solution, for example, and that is the kind of decision we leave up to the designer, of course. So this is the first part. We upload a mass, we generate a unit mix. The next step we're going to have a look at is to generate floor plans. But before I go ahead and do that, I would like to show you the floor plan library. So I simply click here and go to plans. I actually have my open in a new tab. So this is my floor plan library. All users in Finch has access to their own floor plan library. And if you're an organization, you also have access to your colleagues' plans. And this is a great way of gathering your internal knowledge within a company, learning from colleagues, learning from previous projects, and so on. I'm going to jump into one of my plans just to show you what's special about the plans in Finch. I'm going to use this one. So what's different about the plan in Finch compared to other software? I would say it's the stretching, the adaptivity. So if I pull a wall here, you can see that the whole plan adapts. And this is a great way of reusing plans in different scenarios, but it might not be how you would like your plan to adapt or behave. So you can also go in and specify constraints. For example, if I'm working with a bathroom module, I can say, I lock the wall here, say, I don't want this one to change. I actually don't want my corridors to be any more narrow either. So I'm going to lock it and then click one more time. And this symbol means that it can become wider, but it's not allowed to become more narrow, as an example. And the next time I stretch my plan, you can see that the bathroom stays the same here. And this is a nice way of informing the system how you would like your design to behave. Okay, so enough about the plan library and jump into the project here again. So I generated my unit mix. The next thing I'm going to do is to simply select a unit. I'm going to click Generate Floor Plan and give Finch a couple of seconds to analyze where do we have the outside, where do we have the corridor, neighboring apartments, and so on. And then we're getting results presented here. I have my own plans. This is plans from my library that has been adapted to fit this unit. I can see what my colleagues has been up to. Click around. And then here in the bottom, we get the AI generated plans from Finch. And I can simply start here to, I think for me personally, this is usually a good starting point for me to get some inspiration and then make it my own. As you might notice, the AI plans are not furnished yet, your own are. And we usually say that you get best results from your own library. I mean, this is design that you've been working with, optimized, and you really like, and so on. The AI plans are good. I would say there's highs and lows. Some are really good. Some, I mean, are AI strange, you know, hallucinated plans. But you see, a lot of them are popping in here more and more. Anyhow, so let's select the plan, add it to the unit. There you go. You might notice now that it changed colors. It will probably not do that when you use Finch, but that is because I've been working on this project and customized it. I wanted to use these colors for this particular project and so on. So we're trying to keep everything as customizable as possible, because I mean, most of our clients has their own, you know, themes and style and so on. So we're trying to, I mean, it is a design tool, so we're trying to keep it as open as possible. There you go. And then I work my way around the building. One thing we're also going to have a look at during this demo is how to reuse plans in different shapes. So if I copy this one and paste it into, I'm actually going to paste it into all 4 of these ones. Then of course, Finch recognizes where the corridor is, so it automatically rotates it and fits it and so on. But as you can see, I pasted a plan into a unit that is actually larger. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to extend my walls, there you go, and then click Union. Now it fits this one as well. And now I have 4 plans here that are different, but they are still linked. So if I were to go in here, for example, and say, I don't like the Eames chair here in the living room, I'm going to put it here in the hallway. Of course, that doesn't make sense, but just to show you, then it does updates in all of the units. So this is a great way of reusing your designs in complex projects and so on. And then the last step for the demo today is, of course, going into Revit. And then Ruben is much more Revit savvy than I am, so he's going to show you how to map different walls to your own Revit wall families and so on, and download the project into Revit. And as you can see, it is native Revit geometry, real Revit walls, and so on that comes in to Revit. And he might also go through one of our most popular features lately, actually, and that is how to, I'm going to delete an apartment, generate plans within Revit. So if I just fire it up here, you can see how it works. Pull it in. And this is the same intelligence that runs within Revit. If you're not ready to, you know, go up in the cloud-based platform, you want to stay in your familiar environment, then you can still take advantage of the computing power here. So I'm going to choose this one. Give Revit a couple of seconds to import the furniture. It's usually what takes a little bit of time here. There we go. And here I have my plan again. So I think that's most of the things that we're going to go through today. Did I miss anything, Ruben?
I just wanted to jump in. Just you spoke a little bit about the how we're kind of moving towards ArchiCAD integration as well, and I thought it could be important just to also. I might have missed you saying this, Jesper, so stop me. But that Finch is primarily a tool built for residential projects. That's kind of what we mostly work with. But of course, that's an umbrella term. So that's not just housing. That's, of course, hospitality. We see a lot of student accommodation and a lot of retirement homes as well. Kind of anything with a bed is almost the motto of Finch. And then as well as that, we're also moving next year also into a generation of workspaces and offices. So we're continuing to grow our typologies as well. So if you're a studio perhaps or a designer that works not just purely with housing and also some offices and workspaces, then you've also got that to look forward to in Finch. But I think that's all I wanted to add. And yeah, I'll pass it back over to you.
Yes. Yeah, I think my part is done. No, but, so what we're going to do next here is to get you signed up to Finch, and it's going to be a little bit of setup here. We're going to create an account, and then we need, usually we sign firms, and then we add all of the users on. That will have to be done during this meeting now, so bear with us while we add you to the organization and so on. But
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to Finch here in the chat for everybody to use. And yeah, like Jesper said, this is I think the session is best if you follow along, and if you do this with us, it's also more fun than watching us talk for 3 hours. 3 hours is like a Tarantino film. I think we'd be more exciting, but Yeah, I want everyone to go ahead and click on Finch 3D, and then we're going to go ahead and navigate to. I'm not sharing my screen because I don't think I need to at this point because you're all intelligent people. You're just going to click on Get Started in this link. And then I believe, and Jesper, tell me if I'm wrong here, that everyone's going to make a free account, and then we're going to move them across into this shared organization. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you're
Perfect.
making a free account, we add you to an organization, and then we're going to open up the enterprise features for you for this demo. May I ask, does anyone already have a Finch account?
I might. Let me check.
I have a Finch account.
You do, Amir. Okay.
Yeah.
You
I
want
do.
extra?
I have a Finch account. Just a trial version though.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm just going to say that when we're adding you to this organization, everything that you create now will be owned by this demo organization, and your old project will still be owned by you. And then when we close this organization, you will not have access to what you created in this workshop. But if you would like, I think we have some background noise here. Someone shouting here. Anyhow, but if you want access to these, the things that you created during the workshop, feel free to just drop me an email, and we'll move the projects out to your personal account and so on. So we try to help you with that.
Just off the back of that, if we have people which have already accounts in Finch, it might be easier if they post their email, I think maybe here in the chat so that we know who the users are. That would be great. If you can post, use the email here that you used to sign up to Finch. You can also message us directly if, and then we can see. That's great. And if everyone can just, we're giving you all a moment, but just give us a thumbs up once you have access to Finch. I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen now. If I can do such a thing, let's have a look. Great. Looks like we're all coming in. Wonderful. You should all be landing on a page like this, project list, I believe. Bear with us whilst Jesper moves us all across to our shared organization for today's session.
Yes, I managed to add everyone, but the last email, I cannot add it before you have signed up. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to sign up, and I'll try again.
Cool. And whilst we wait for that, I can just quickly show you how it's cool that we can kind of see how the interface of Finch looks when we use it as a team, and we're kind of member on our what we call our enterprise tier. So this is where we have studios that kind of work collaboratively in Finch. Here you see a list of all of your colleagues, and these are people that you'll be able to invite to your projects, kind of share some smart information, things like our graph rules, which we're going to cover a little bit later, and yeah, really kind of work in this collaborative way. Just going to bear with just for one moment whilst we add the final user to the organization.
The last email here, have you Yuvashri, have you created a free account yet?
Doing it now. Okay, wonderful.
Perfect.
And as we're doing kind of for today's session, we're kind of going to be colleagues. Feel free to also post what kind of role you want in this in this new company here in the chat. Maybe we can decide on who's the boss. No.
Yeah, please don't kick me out.
Right, let's see. We have some more people have joined as well.
Yeah.
If anyone
So
joined, oh, sorry, yes, go ahead.
yeah, so just if you're not part of the organization, if you're not managed to sign up, just write in the chat or shout here and there, and we'll make sure that you.
Yeah, sorry, I just joined Jesper. I do have a Finch account already,
Awesome.
Yeah.
so if I can just use that one, but like if that works, then yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, maybe before you joined here, we can add you if you have an existing Finch account. These projects you create during this workshop will be added to this organization, and when we remove you, you will lose these projects. But if you want to have access to them later, you can just write an email to us, and we'll try to, copy them to your account.
Okay, cool.
Could you post your email here in the chat?
Yeah.
And I'll add you.
Jesper, can you go ahead and try to add this Yuveshri's email address, please?
Yeah, it's added.
Oh, it's added. Ignore
I
me.
think.
There it is. Yeah, it is.
Here we have a Philip as well. There you go.
Brilliant. I
Now-
think we're all in.
Yeah.
Golden, ready to get going. Amazing. So the first thing we're going to do before we jump into Grasshopper and start working with our script and making our massing, and before we send it up to Finch is, of course, we need to make a place to send all of that information. And so to do that, we're going to start by we're all going to create a new project here in Finch. How do we do that? Well, we navigate to our projects icon at the top of our screen. And from here, I'll give you one guess. We're going to click on Create New. And go ahead and call this whatever you want to call it for today's session. Grasshopper, Finch, Revit. I'm going to call mine.
I might add that your screen might not have, for example, the import button, because Ruben is a super user here on the platform, so he will be able to see your projects, but if you do not invite your colleagues, they will not see your project. So there are some differences there.
Exactly that. Thanks, Jesper.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt really quickly. I'm trying to click on the create new and nothing's
nothing's
Yeah,
happening.
same here.
Can you go ahead and refresh your browser for me?
Yeah.
I've
Seeing a few coming up.
gone ahead and done that. Projects, create new. It looks like I'm clicking on it, but it doesn't really allow me to do anything further.
Yeah, I wonder if do members have the ability to create projects?
Everyone should have it.
I was able to create a new one.
There you are.
Okay, so Sergey was able to. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time before you get added here, but just as Ruben said, try to refresh your browser and click create new here again. And if there's still a problem, I'm going to write our CTO that's standby.
I'm gonna try a different browser as well, just to be.
Yeah, same here.
What browser are you using?
I was using this is Explorer, but sorry, Microsoft Edge, but I'm gonna go
Yeah, I
to
was in Edge as well.
Yeah, Chrome is usually a safe bet if you have that.
Yeah, we kind of gave up testing our apps on Edge anyway. We're just sticking to Chromium.
It's funny, yeah, because Edge is based on Chromium, right?
Mhm.
So you would
Yes,
think
also, yep.
you would think it would be compatible, but you know,
Which also blew
typical
my mind when
Microsoft,
I
right?
found
Yeah.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you that have been able to create a project, if you create a project, it will probably have opened you directly into a variant, which will look like this, which will be an empty variant for you. And if this is what you're seeing on your screen, just whilst we're waiting for everyone to kind of be migrated across and be able to open up their projects, I recommend that we come up here to our Finch icon on the left. And here we can kind of just take a little snoop around, have a little look at the Finch interface and kind of dig around, and so we can look at our plans, for example, where we just right, Jesper was just showing us. We can change our library here to our organization library. We can have a little look at our breakdown of programs here, so we can see all of our hotel units, all of our student housing.
So I'm still not being able to do it, and it's telling me that my current plan is the enterprise plan, which I'm not sure how I landed there. I don't think I found like that. So
Yeah, but
that's
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's you're seeing the right plan. That means that we have moved you onto the
Okay.
top tier of access, if you want to call it that.
But I'm still not being able to create new.
Okay, so let's see. I can create. I'm going to create the project and see if I can invite you to it then.
Okay.
I can also do the same here.
Let's see.
So, Samuel, if you go ahead and refresh your project page now, can you tell me if this AEC Grasshopper Finch Revit comes up?
Yes, it does.
It does. Okay. And if you hit final time, Hail Mary, if you hit create new, nope.
No,
That's
nothing.
okay. That's all right, because at least we're in now. So now we have
Okay.
somewhere.
Thank
And
you.
Andrew, I've invited you to project as well.
Thank you.
Just see if you
see.
can get in, and
Okay,
then
I
we're going to have a
see.
look.
BMA Jesper.
I renamed it to BMA Andrew now.
Oh, okay. And I'll rename it again. Excellent.
So, is it anyone else that had problem creating a project? Nope. Very nice.
Nope.
I'm going to look into how that why this happened, but now everyone is up and running.
Awesome. So let's all go ahead and click on our project that we've created so that we come into here, kind of our project dashboard, where we collect all of our information about our project, and we also collect our variants. And I'm just going to quickly talk you through the information that we see here on the screen. It's all pretty intuitive. I think the first thing that we might want to be doing here is we have our measurement system. I'm going to go ahead and change this from metric to imperial for today's session, which is always a challenge for me and Jesper, but we're learning. Then we have our members here. So we can, as I said, if we're part of an organization, we can go ahead and add our team members, anyone that we want to collaborate with on our project. We can then add a location for our project. I'm going to put it right here in the middle of New York. And then if we scroll down, we have our variants, and variants are basically ways, areas where we can collect different masses or even duplicate the same kind of volume or mass to then work on different kind of unit mixes or different plan generation. So this is just where we collect kind of everything that we're testing in our project. A good rule of thumb is that if you're working on a project in Finch with kind of multiple members of your team, to always kind of work in different variants. That's just to make sure that if we have two people in the same variant and someone saves over someone else, then that just leads to a whole world of headaches and arguments that we're trying to avoid. If we scroll down even further, we have something which is empty here for me, and this is my variant bundle. And bundles is a feature that we have here in Finch where we can collect multiple variants. For example, if we're working on kind of a large-scale master planning project where we have multiple buildings, here we can kind of work on all of these separate buildings as separate variants. Then we can bundle them, collect them all in this one place, and get a good kind of overview of kind of the unit mixes and unit sizes over the whole master plan. So this is a way of keeping our kind of variants neat and tidy, and keeping them kind of one member of the team working on each building and then collecting them in one place. Let's go ahead and come to our variant here in our variant list and rename it for whatever the volume we want for today's session. I'll call mine AEC mass. And Samuel, I think you should be in the same project as me. You can also come down here and create new variant so that you have somewhere to upload your maths from Grasshopper. There we go. Awesome.
Very nice. So should we jump into Grasshopper, Ruben?
I think we're ready.
Yes.
I'll stop sharing.
Yes. And I share my screen. There you go. Okay, so what we're going to do here in Grasshopper is to replicate this script and this building more or less. It's going to be, I think we're going to keep it fairly simple here, both in terms of geometry and grass hopping to not. Of course, Finch can you can upload whatever geometry you want, but I think for the sake of the tutorial, we keep it in a certain size and so on, so to make sure that it works. So let's take it from the top. I'm just going to open Rhino and open a new file. Let's large object feet, and we're going to install 2 plugins before we get started here. Do you have your Rhino open? I might add, I'm in Rhino 8. It might work with Rhino 7 fairly well as well, I think, but if you have Rhino 8, feel free. I would recommend that. So there's 2 plugins we're going to use. It's Finch, of course, and it's Weaverbird for this exercise, and they both lives in the package manager. So I simply type package manager. This one opens, and here I type Finch, and I'll type Weaverbird as well. These are the 2 plugins we're going to install. So install the latest version of both of them, and please tell me if you have any problems installing any of them. If you haven't have a Finch plugin since before that is out of date, I would recommend to uninstall it first before you reinstall the latest version. There are some problems with that, but we've been promised that that is going to be solved in Rhino 9. So when Finch and Weaverbird is installed, just give me a thumbs up. Or a little emoji or something. Are we ready to move on, or should I wait for anyone?
Sure.
Amir says, I don't have Rhino installed on my machine right now. Can I make a simple geometry inside Finch? I think the best thing for you to do, Amir, is just kind of follow or watch along for this part of the session whilst we're generating in Grasshopper. And then once we've brought it up into Finch, we'll then invite you to our project so you can duplicate the volume, and then we can kind of work kind of in Finch in that volume.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's a great idea. Okie dokie. So here in Rhino, we're going to create our building, and there's 3 things we're going to create. It's, let's say, bounds or outline. Bounds, I'm going to call my first layer, and then we're going to create a center line, and grid lines. I'm going to call it the grid. What you name your layer, it's up to you. It's not super important, but these are the 3 things we're going to be working with. In the bounds layer here, I'm going to just draw the building footprint. So I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm working in feet or foot, or let's see. Where's my ortho? There we go. I'm going to make it 64 feet wide and a little bit longer, something like this. That's 64. Yeah, that's reasonable. It's a residential building here, so and the reason why I recommended to do something more or less in that size is because, I mean, if you're adding a hospital sized building, you will get very, very deep, strange apartments probably. So let's see. So this is where we're going to start. 64 feet wide and a little bit longer rectangle. So I'm going to fire up Grasshopper now. I'm going to open a new document. And by the way, if you think this is tricky, I've also shared the final Grasshopper definition and file in the Slack channel and in the Drive and so on. So if you do not manage to replicate this one, you can always just use that one. But I think it's a good exercise, and I'm gonna try to keep it simple here. So in Grasshopper, there's 2 ways of reference geometry in Rhino. I'm going to use a pipeline that I really enjoy working with that. So I'm just going to double click and write pipeline, and I'm going to select this one, this black hexagon geometry pipeline. It looks like this. To be honest, I mean, it is somewhere up in the menus here, but I never use the menu, so I cannot find it there. But if you double click and type pipeline, you get this one. And then I'm going to click geometry, and I'm going to name it bounds, just the same layer name as I have in my Rhino file, and then you can see that it is connected. And the nice thing of working with pipeline is that you can update it in Rhino. There we go. This is going to be our mass that we're going to send to Finch. And then we're going to use a boundary surface component to make a surface of it. Boundary. Let's double click and type boundary. And then I'm going to extrude it to maybe 3 stories. So I'm going to click and extrude. It's this one. I'm going to extrude it in the Z direction, and let's extrude it 30 feet. There you go. I'm gonna take, whoops, I'm gonna take a little pause. Maybe I can save it. There you go. Do you know how to extrude it and do what I did here, or do you want me to go through it one more time, a little bit slower?
That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Yes. So I double clicked, I type boundary, and then I get this one called boundary surface. It is this component. And this one goes into an extrusion component. So I double click and type extrude, and it's this one. It looks like that. Extrude points, curves, and surfaces along a vector. And then this component asks for a direction. Where do I want to extrude this thing? And I want to extrude it upwards. And that is a double click and just type Z. And it's this one. It's a vector pointing straight up in the Rhino file. And then I have to specify how long I would like to extrude it, or how far. So I can just double click and write 30. Then I actually get a slider, but that's fine. Let's use that instead. So here we have our building. Do you get it to work?
Thank you.
And now I'm going to send this building to Finch. We have actually forgotten one thing here. So before we go ahead, please save both of your files. And if you're not familiar with Grasshopper, you need to save both the Rhino and the Grasshopper file here. It's always good. It's easy to crash Rhino when you're grasshopping away. Okie dokie. So before we start here, I'm going to sign out just to show you. You will need to launch the Finch plugin. And you do that by, let's see, I'm going to close it. Just simply typing Finch in Rhino. And if I type Finch, this one opens. It looks like this. And then you need to sign in under account. And it is the same password and email as you sign in to the web app. I'm not sure if you have an organization drop down. I don't think you should have that, but if you have that, it should say AECtech when you're signed in there. Anyone it's not working for? I'm going to the last person here who missed the part of creating a building mass, I have also uploaded. Are you part of the Slack channel? I've uploaded all of the files there as well, so you can just download them if you missed the first part. Okay, okay. Did you manage to sign in to Finch in Rhino? Maybe.
Just going to jump in, Jesper, to say that this is this session is being recorded as well. We just have a question here about whether or not people will be able to follow the recording afterwards.
Yep. Okay, okay. So if you're signed into Finch in Rhino, now it should work in Grasshopper as well. It might be sometimes you need to restart and so on when installing new plugins in Rhino, but let's wait with that to see if it works. If it doesn't, we restart and try it. Okay, so now I'm signed in. I have my building, very simple one now. And to send it to Finch, I simply go to the Finch tab here in Grasshopper. And as I mentioned, now we're doing it in Grasshopper. It could come from Forma, Rhino, Revit, or any other software you're familiar with there. But this is, now we're doing it in Grasshopper. And to connect Grasshopper to Finch, you go over to the Finch logo here, click that component, and add it. And to connect it to the specific project you're working with, in my case, my project is named AECtech NYC. I'm going to use a thing called panel in Grasshopper. I double click in, type panel. It's this yellow guy. And I'd simply write AECtech NYC. There you go. I connect that to the program input, and then I need to specify a variant as well. And by default, it's called variant 1. I think, or we renamed it anyhow. You need to have the variant name that you want to send the information to. I have one called variant 1 here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I can just copy this one. Say variant 1. Okay. I'm gonna double clicking, grab a button. There you go. And now it's connected. So now my Grasshopper file is connected with my variant. It's hard to see, of course, before we start sending things, but that's all you need to do to connect your Grasshopper to Finch. Do you manage to find the component and add your variant names or project and variant? Very nice. So next step is that we're going to use here under hierarchy, we have building mass upload. So this is the one we're going to use, building mass upload. I'm going to click that one, add it to the canvas, and then it asks for three things. First of all, it asks for the building mass. And the thing I'm going to use is the extrusion I have here. So I'm going to connect that to the building mass. Then it asks for Finch data. And that is this guy. As you can see, it says FD at the output here. So I'm going to connect that one. And then the last input is just a button to send it. So I'm just going to add a button here as well. And in theory, if everything is set up correctly here, it should work if I just click this button, hold it in a second. You can see that it starts to upload. This one is queued. Let's see if I'm going to. It's actually in my variant already, I can see. Oh, that's strange. So mine got stuck at queue, but I can see that it's already up in the web app. So it worked. So it worked. There you go. Do you manage to send your mass to the web app? This is also always a critical part to see if it's connected between Rhino and Finch.
Could you still quickly show the last steps, Jesper, because I had to restart Rhino.
Yeah, no worries. So we have this first part where we created our mass. I'm just going to group this one. And then we have the other part where we create or where we connected it to Finch. Do you have these two parts in place?
Yeah, I have the Finch part, but not the like variant and the button in there yet.
Okay, so this one now where you connect it is under the Finch tab. It's this guy, the Finch logo. And then to add the yellow things, simply type panel. And then you can write something in here. And here you should write the name of the project and the name of the variant. And then the last step here was to add a building mass upload, and it's under hierarchy, building mass upload. And this node asks for three things. It's the building mass we want to upload. In my case, it's this box I've created. It asks for the Finch data. That's basically the address. Where do you want to send your things? It comes from this guy, and then it needs a button to be able to send it. And I simply click that button. It's always good practice in Grasshopper to hold it down for like a second and so on. And then it comes up to the web app like this. Anyone who gets it to work? It can be tricky in Grasshopper.
I did. Jesper, I got
You
it.
did.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. We usually onboard people from the other software. It's a little bit more intuitive than Grasshopper, but But it's important to know that the connection works for you guys before we go ahead and progress with the script here. So if you go into the web app, have you managed to upload a mass, or else I can share my script with you if you prefer that. Nope. Okay, so who of you guys are following along with the Grasshopper part? Because if it's tricky, I can share the script with you, and we can move on to the Finch parts and so on. But the ones who are following along, did it work for you guys to upload it to the web app? It worked for you, Sergey?
Yep, I can see
Very
it
nice.
online.
Okay. So I think we're going to keep it simple here in Grasshopper. So we're just going to upload a couple of more things before and then we move into the web app, I think. So I'm going to go back to my Grasshopper file. And the things I'm going to upload here to make it work, let's see, is a center line and some grid lines.
Jesper, I'm just going to jump in here and check that Sergey has seen the chat here, because Samuel's had to, his computer's freezing, so just wants to be let in on his phone so he can keep following along whilst his computer is restarting.
Admit it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. So, and just tell me if I should, if you not follow along here. So the two other things we're going to upload here for the project is the grid lines and the center line. So we're going to use the same logic, but we can hide Grasshopper for a while. I'm going to go into the Rhino window, and I'm going to add a center line for this building. And this is basically a line in the middle of the building where we're going to generate the corridor around. So going to the center line layer, I'm just going to draw a line across my building like this. There we go. And then I'm going to go into the grid line layer, and I'm going to add some grid lines. You can add it wherever you want. I'm just going to do it like this and copy a couple of them. And I mean, you're familiar with grid lines. Maybe you got it from the engineer or something else that you need to follow in the project. So there you go. I have a center line and I have a couple of grid lines here, or 3 of them actually. And then I'm going to open my Grasshopper file again. And this time I'm actually just going to copy my pipeline. Instead bounds, I'm going to write center line. And I'm going to copy one more. I'm going to type grid line, or grid, I think I called my layer. There you go. I'm going to make sure that it's connected to my Rhino file just by toggling them on and off. It's a Control Q to toggle them back and forth, or you can just right click and click the preview here. And then the logic is very, very simple, just like the building mass upload. If I go to geometry here, for example, I can choose grid line upload. So Finch, geometry, grid line upload. I simply feed my grid lines into that one that asks for grid lines. I reuse my Finch data because it's going to go to the same project, and I just copy paste my button here. And then I just click the button. It uploads my grid lines, as you can see, finished. And if I open my web app, I can now see my grid lines here. And when you're working with parametric models and so on, this is really neat to just be able to, you know, send it and update it easily like this. And the same thing goes for the center line. I have a center line upload. I think it's in here as well. Center line upload. There you go. It asks for center line, data, and a button. There you go. And I'm going to send it as well. Upload, queued. There you go. I have some strange things going on here. I'm just going to go in and see so it comes up here. There you go. Perfect. So this is it. This is how you send things from Grasshopper right into Finch. And this is, of course, now an extremely simple script. I'm basically just sending Rhino geometry, but now you can start manipulating it in Grasshopper however you want and make a really complex mesh out of it and so on. Anyone who managed to send the grid lines up to the web app?
Seems
Yes.
like
Very nice.
Yeah.
It was a tricky part. Hopefully the Finch part becomes a little easier here. So
absolutely. I'm just going to, before I take over, Jesper, I'm just going to ask you to actually go ahead and maybe add some of our members in the chat here to your Finch files so that we can, to your Finch project, sorry, so that we can all kind of duplicate the variants and work in the project that we've uploaded, if that sounds all right to you.
And Ruben, maybe if you have not uploaded a project, some of you, maybe you can duplicate as well.
Yes.
Or was that, or maybe you said that already.
That was my thinking, but
Okay, so I'm going to stop share my screen here. Or actually before I stop the script, I posted here on Slack. I can show you to just knows how it looks. So this is how it looks. It's a little bit more complicated, some more nodes, but feel free to play around with it. And what it does is basically that it generates a closed mesh with a nice undulating facade like this. And because Finch always needs a closed mesh or BREP or similar. So that is what this script does. But I figured it seems a little bit overkill to go through the whole script today. So I posted it. Feel free to play around with it, and let's move into Finch and generate stuff instead.
Amazing. Thank you, Jesper. Am I okay to add everyone to your project here, the AECtech NYC project?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it. Okay. I am going to share my screen. Here we go. Okay, first things first, let's go ahead and get everybody on board. I'm going to go ahead here and add you all. Let's hope Samuel's computer's back up, otherwise he'll be joining from his phone in Finch, which we learned earlier today you can do. You can access Finch from your phone, but don't recommend it for today's session. That might be quite hard to follow along.
I'll be following along from the phone for now.
Okay, all good.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Okay. Amazing. If we all go back to our project list and hit refresh, then we should be seeing AECtech NYC showing up on our project list. And let's go into our project, but then hold your horses. Don't go ahead and open anything else up just yet, because what I'm going to want you to all do is navigate down here to your variants here in Finch. And then we're going to go to the variant that's called duplicate me. And we're going to come up to our 3 dots here. We're going to duplicate this variant. And then again, we're going to write our own initials, or as I saw when we were on the project list, someone called it My Awesome Project, which I loved. So if someone wants to also write My Awesome Variant, then go ahead. Call it whatever you want here. But everyone else is going to see the name, just so you know. I'll give you all a second to do this, and we'll see these popping up here in the variant list. My Awesome Variant. Good stuff. I think someone needs to write My Even More Awesome Variant. Let's turn this into a real competition. Here we go. I also realized when you were doing that, Jesper, that Revit is going to be the only tool that we use in this session which isn't named after an animal. It's really letting us down. Of going rhino to grasshopper, and then there's something else, weaver, bird.
Weaver bird, yeah.
Yeah, into Finch, and then out to Revit. This is also probably a good time to say, whilst we're now going to jump into Finch, and we still have a couple of hours, so we have a lot of time. We can get very far in Finch in the next couple of hours. But what we're also going to want to do at the end of the session is take all our hard work and then get it out in Revit, because ultimately what the tool that we've built here at Finch is, it's not kind of a software which we want to say kind of adjacent to your workflow. We don't want it to be something that you have to kind of then do a lot of reworking of all the work that you've done in Finch. So what we're going to demonstrate as well is that with the kind of compatibility that we have with Revit, that we're going to be able to bring all of this kind of useful BIM model data in for us to continue iterating on. And obviously to do that, we need 2 things. We need Revit. And if you haven't downloaded Revit by this point, then I'm not going to ask you to do it in this session. We could probably need longer than 2 hours. But what I would ask you to do is to download the Finch plugin, which has also been, I believe, Jesper, you put it in the drive, and maybe a link to it in Slack as well. Is that correct?
Yes, it's both in the Slack channel and in the drive.
Amazing. Awesome. So yeah, I'll just say in the meantime, before we jump into Finch and actually start generating, let's, if you haven't already, just go ahead and just fire up Revit so it's ready to go once we move across. Okay, let's all now go ahead and click on our variants. And you should all hopefully see something like I see on my screen. Golden. Let's take a minute. Also, feel free if you feel comfortable being not on mute, then it's always nice for me to not feel like I'm screaming into the abyss. So yeah, that's completely up to you. But yeah, because we have so few of us here and we've got a few hours, then also happy to make this feel like more of a conversation so that you can also, it doesn't feel like such a big thing to unmute yourself. You just simply tell me to stop waffling and ask me a question.
It works for me, Ruben.
Yeah, nice. Good to know. Samuel's catching up now. Could you send a quick snip of the grasshopper? I have the first bit laid out. Can you just send a screenshot here in the channel, Jesper, or maybe even
Yes.
the
I'm actually I can share my the full script here, and I can share a screen as well.
Yeah, you mean share like a little screenshot here in the... Okay, awesome. Cool. Well, for everyone that's in Finch floating around, let's just take a moment to kind of familiarize ourselves with how we move about. I don't know if any of you are like me, but we're jumping between Rhino, Revit, and Grasshopper, just trying to work out how to orbit. Always feel like I'm losing my mind. So Here we just hold down the right mouse button and we can orbit around like so. And we can hold down our scroller or what's the middle bit of the mouse called? That's another animal.
A wheel? Scroll wheel?
The wheel,
Scroll
thank
wheel.
you. Here we can kind of fly around like so. And what you're going to notice is we have already, we don't just have our model here, but we're also showing some information. And so if we come up to these figures on the left-hand side of our screen and just click on these, this is going to bring up our donuts, as we call them. And once we start to kind of work more in Finch in the next few minutes and start to assign out some programs, we're going to see these donuts, these rings kind of close out. So these are really good to have open, I think, at this stage, so that we can kind of keep a really good track of the kind of breakdown of areas in our project. So donuts on the left. If we come up to the top of our screen in the middle, we have our toolbar. And this is kind of always where your tools are gonna, that's always where they're gonna live in Finch. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I'm gonna say this a lot of times, and Jesper's already said it a few times. But Finch is a generative tool, and we're gonna be using all the generative powers of Finch today. But it's also editing tool. Jesper's an architect. I'm an architect. Our other CEO was an architect, so what we've also built is just a tool which is nice to draw in as much as anything, I think. So this is where you're going to find your tools kind of throughout today's workshop. Let's turn on and off our wireframe. And we can also turn on and off the grid lines that we see below down here. Cool. Now in Finch, we work with 3 studios. We saw Jesper working across all of them. The massing studio, this is big picture stuff. This is where we assign the program, so what the kind of the typology, the use cases. Then we dive into the floor plate, and then we dive into the floor plan. But here in the massing studio, I think we can go ahead and start actually assigning out some programs. To do so, we click on any of our floors, and we're going to get this little toolbar shown up. Click once on a floor. If you've clicked twice, you will have entered the floor plate like this. Don't worry, to come out, you can just double click outside to come back out. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to get a drop down. And here I'm going to choose from the list. As I said earlier, Finch is a tool for residential. So let's go ahead and make it so. And what you've noticed is as I've clicked on this, we're starting to see something update here, and this is our donuts starting to fill out. So I'm going to go ahead and assign out the rest of the building, and I don't have to do it floor by floor. I can click on the floor below, hold Shift, click on this floor here, assign them all out as residential. We're still not closed out because we need to also have something on the ground floor. Let's maybe make it a lobby. Very generous lobby. And let's make something on the top floor. Let's maybe have some circulation up here. You can also make this exactly what you want. I think it's more fun if you make your own things, and then also at the end of this session we can really share what everyone else has been up to.
And my dad, since you are in the same project now, the program names and so on are shared between the variants. So if you see strange programs popping in here, it's probably because your colleagues are adding them.
That's a very polite way of saying don't write anything rude because we're all going to see it. So yeah, exactly as Jesper said, what if I click on it here and come to my drop down, I can also go ahead and create a new program. Let's say hotel, for example. I'm going to say that this is under kind of the umbrella term of residential spaces. And here I have a few options about my hotel program. I can exclude it from the GFA. Maybe I don't want it to be counted in my floor area. This obviously we probably wouldn't do this for a hotel. We'll do this for circulation, maybe technical spaces, shafts, and things like this. And we also can add properties. So maybe I know that when I'm working with hotels, I have a value of 2,000. This might sound completely ludicrously low or too high. Again, you have to forgive my imperial blindness. $2,000 per square foot and go ahead and click OK. And now what you'll notice is that here are my programs where I have hotel, where I have this drop down which says GFA. I can also add budget. So here I can kind of get some quick figures out. So these are kind of things that you can customize. You know, of course, you can do budget. You can also do kind of anything that can be calculated by square footage or area. So also, you know, carbon, embodied carbon, all of these kind of things you can personalize here. We jumped over there to the right-hand side of our screen where we have this list of programs, and this is what we call our data drawers in Finch. And this is another place where we kind of give you lots of visualizations of data or perhaps of architecture. What if you have more than one program on a floor? Great question. And perhaps a lobby would be a good place. My huge lobby would be a good place to address this question. If we have more than one program on a floor, it's then a case of actually just entering the floor, so double-clicking to come in. And then, as I said, we can use our editing tools here. So I've gone ahead and selected my wall tool or hit W on my keyboard. And I'm just going to actually draw a wall across my floor plate here, because I want to say that this area here will be my lobby and this area here is going to be retail. So we can set the programs at kind of in the massing studio, but we can also, when we're in our floor plate, assign things out here. So if I assign this as retail and jump back to 3D, we're going to see that. Oh, it's hard to see it because it's hidden. There we go. We see it there. And we also see it in our drop down here. But great question. Okay, back in the massing studio, what more can we do before we dive in? Well, when you've clicked on the floor, you will have seen that there is another option next to program, and that's our floor height. And here we can update our floor heights. With a complex mesh like this, let's see what happens if I make this ground floor 12 feet instead. Take Finch a second to think about this because we've updated the kind of height of the ground floor. So then every floor above is obviously going to have to adjust to kind of work with this new floor height. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and undo that one. Just going to make that back to 10. And kind of all the changes we make here, so the changes of floor heights and things like this, these are also obviously going to come directly into Revit. So we're also going to get these in our Revit model. So we can change our floor heights here, and what we can also do is we can come over to our data drawers on the right-hand side. And if we come all the way to the bottom, we can open up our outer walls. And here we can change our outer wall width. So this is obviously the distance that we're going to take your volume, your mass, and offset that internally. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and actually have a little look at our other kind of breakdowns here that we have in our data drawers. For open space types, we're going to see very little. And that's because we haven't yet really kind of dived in to start assigning out specific floor areas. Hey, Lawrence, welcome to today's session. I've just seen that we have a new participant.
Appreciate that.
How you doing?
Very good.
Good. I'm gonna we're kind of just getting started in Finch here. We've looked at kind of the upload process from Grasshopper. Can I ask Lawrence if you have used Finch before?
I have recently in a AI for Architects class.
Okay.
So I've had like an hour intro.
Amazing. Okay. Well, if you already have an account, if you wouldn't mind sharing your email address in the chat here, then my Jesper here can go ahead and add you to our organization so that you can kind of work in the same model that we're all working with for today's session.
Yes. I'm ready.
Or you can just watch along. That's it.
Yeah, that's we're not forcing
Yeah.
anyone.
So we have our programs here. We have our, if I come down to my plan, my story heights, we can see where we have the breakdown of all the different story heights here. And before I go ahead and dive into my my floor plate, there's also a few more kind of final little pieces that we can have a look at. One is that if you notice now on my screen, if I turn off my mesh, not really getting much information out. I'm not really kind of getting any visual cues, even though we've already started kind of assigning stuff to our project here in Finch. And that's always just the case in Finch. If we're not seeing the shiny colors that we want to be seeing, it's just a case of needing to open the right data drawer, and that's going to pop up here. Okay. If we come over to the right-hand side of our screen, next to where we have this little icon that says variant, we'll have an icon that says graph rules. I want everyone to click on this one to open up this graph rules tab. Now, what are graph rules, you might be asking? Well, what we've designed here at Finch is basically graph rules are a way that we can kind of govern spatial standards across the whole project, not just in your variant, but actually across this whole project. So if anybody kind of adds any graph rule here, we're going to see that kind of update for all of us actually here in the variant. So this is usually absolutely a bit of a chaotic part here where everyone starts adding graph rules and trying to delete each other's. But if I go ahead and click on graph rule, if you just watch me for this second before we do it, I'm going to get a little drop down here. And here I can go ahead and specify, like I said, spatial standards, so spatial minimums. So here I can say, for example, that I want across this whole project, all of my bedrooms to be a minimum of 80 square foot. Maybe I want to say that all of my bathrooms should be a minimum of something else, and maybe I want each kind of apartment that we generate here to have a minimum amount of storage or closets. And I can also then really kind of specify even further, you know, if we have single bedrooms and double bedrooms, I can specify all that stuff here. So I see someone is playing around because I see a bathroom just got added here. And these graph. Say again, Philip.
I couldn't wait.
I knew someone was going to do it. No, absolutely. Everyone give it a go. It's always fun because we see lots of stuff coming through. And everything that we're kind of assigning now, this is going to come into the picture a little bit later once we start actually generating, floor plans. Not a very strict rule you've assigned here, Philip, of bathrooms must be bigger than 0 square foot. I think we can achieve that. There we go. Okay. I'm going to ask everyone now to dive into the next studio in Finch. And to do that, we're going to double click on one of our floor plates. What I'm going to suggest that we do is we work at the top here because with this undulating facade, it kind of gets smaller as we go towards the ground floor. So if we start at the top, that means that when we copy information down, everything's going to kind of land really neatly. So start kind of with one of these floors, the 10th or the 11th floor here. Here we are in our floor plate studio, or in our floor plate. And again, we have some tools at the top, as you saw. And we also have some tools over on the left-hand side. First, we have our north arrow. So if your project in Finch is not orthogonal to your screen, let's say I want to click here, it's going to snap whichever facade I choose, whichever wall, it's going to snap it to 90 degrees. Underneath this, we have these little tools so we can, this is fun, spin it around, choose the orientation that we want to work with. And underneath, we have our story slider. And this is pretty fun. Here we can slide up and down between the units here. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to quickly set. Jesper, you let me know when Lawrence is part of this organization, so I can.
He's part of the organization, and I've duplicated a project for the
Okay.
variant and sent to him.
Amazing.
So I think
Awesome.
we
Ignore
should
me
be
then.
up to speed.
Brilliant. Great.
Thank you guys. I'm in.
Awesome. You're in. Amazing. Cool. So we're in our floor plate now. So now we're going to start solving the first puzzle of the unit mix. As we see, we have our center line here. So this is where we're telling Finch where to kind of place our corridor and thus all of our circulation spaces around it. We turn this on and off up here, and we also have our grid lines. If we want to draw our own center line, we're not going to do that in today's session. We just come up here to this tool in the middle, the Edit Center Line tool.
Is that center line generated automatically, or was that already in here because it's a demo project?
Yeah, so this one was sent up from Grasshopper in the way that
Right.
Jesper did in the last script. But if we had nothing here, then we just draw it ourselves. So that it's not generated automatically. We ask kind of the user, the architect, to tell us kind of where to place the corridor, and then we kind of help you find the best solutions for kind of fire escape, fire kind of staircases which are up to kind of fire code and things like that. So I want everyone to click somewhere on the floor plate here. Come to generate. And let's go ahead and click on the first option, unit mix and corridors.
Oh, I have to upgrade.
Okie dokie.
You have to upgrade.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's
Jesper
grayed
will
out.
take a look.
That's strange. Can you go?
Oh,
Oh, sorry, what were you saying, Ruben?
no, I was just going to tell you you're muted, but then I muted myself to tell you that. That was very stupid.
Okay. Okay, so just to make sure, that's probably something with the organization setting here. So if you go into my profile, you can just click the logo in the top left corner, go to my profile, and then it should say that you're at Enterprise.
It does.
Finch.
Yeah, it says I'm at Enterprise. And then let's see. I go back in.
And correct me if I'm wrong. You also had problems with the.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to check it out immediately.
Okay. Andrew, whilst we're checking this out, I'm gonna talk through this slowly,
Sure.
and then once you have access, we can do it again. This is a quick process once we have access, and that's because as you can see, Finch is running thousands of iterations pretty quickly. So again, now we've started our generation. We have a few things on the left-hand side, and these are our filters, our weights, and our distances and dimensions. And this is kind of always where we give Finch information. So these are kind of the things that you as the architect know best, and you're working in different regions all around the world. So here you kind of know the fire escape distances, the egress distances to single and multiple exits. So here we kind of ask you to input all of this data and choose kind of some weights and how much to prioritize certain things. And Finch is then going to take all that information and run kind of up to 10,000 iterations until it finds the best solution. Let's go ahead and do this together. Let's go ahead and play around with our number of stairwells.
Well, that's running, Ruben.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like some of us, I think we're all architects or designers. Some of us, or probably most of us, are also computer nerds.
Yeah.
I'm curious, the algorithm that's running in the background, is it like a genetic solver or something else?
Yes.
We'll go on, Jesper.
Yep. So we use a number of different techniques here in Finch, and in this case, it's a genetic algorithm or an optimization algorithm, at least, that's running through, very similar to if you used Galapagos in Grasshopper and so on. And these kind of algorithms is very suitable when it comes to finding, for example, the correct unit size, this kind of precision. While when we generate floor plans, it's a total different technique. It's a diffusion model and a graph neural network, because it's not like the same optimization problem. So here's a lot of different techniques depending on what problem we're trying to solve. But feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to speak about it. And did I answer your question to start with?
That answers my question. Yeah, it does. Makes perfect sense.
Awesome. Whilst we were talking about the model we use here, you might have noticed I also came up to the top to my toolbars again, and I chose the little icon that looks like a stair, which is called the stairwell attractors. One day I'm going to ask Jesper to explain why we called them stairwell attractors. I love that name. It's brilliant. I mean, it makes sense. We attract the staircases, but it's great. That's going to bring up nodes against all the facades. And if we click on these nodes, then we're going to basically be telling Finch to try and pull all of the cores against these facades. This, again, is something that you as the architect or the designer, obviously, you know best in this project. You know where you want to kind of optimize the floor plate for the bigger units. So you choose here. We see here with the egress distances that we've put in, as we saw earlier, if I kind of drop the number of stairwells to 1 here, then we're going to see we get a visual reference here about kind of that we're not fulfilling the kind of egress distances that we're looking for. So we use this as a kind of a bit of a visual cue to make sure that we're fulfilling code. So I'm going to actually, I think I'm happy with 3 stairwells. I've seen that kind of works. Now I'm going to come down to my weights and have a little look at the weights that I have here. So here, if I want to make sure my stairwells land on the corners or on the ends, I can pull these all the way to the right. Obviously, the more we pull them to the right, the more Finch is going to prioritize them. And then if I come down to my dimensions tab, here we kind of have the hard figures again. So these aren't really things that Finch is going to kind of look at and kind of work roughly to. These are kind of hard figures that we're gonna use. So let's change my core width and my core depth. And then I can also change my corridor width here. 7. Oh, not 72. That would be quite a wide corridor. We also have our wall width here as well. So like again, kind of any wall width we're putting in here, any distance, this is going to come in as a wall family in Revit. And it's really crucial here that we make sure we use kind of the wall widths that we usually use for kind of corridor partition walls, because when we bring it into Revit, we're going to be able to kind of, you know, map these to our existing wall families. So we're letting Finch run. I'm seeing that we're not kind of getting any better solution here. So, and I'm really happy with this layout. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hit pause. And instead of clicking on the very tempting generate units button, which I'm sure someone has already clicked on, people always click on it before I tell them not to, I want you to click on the little apply plan button next to it here. Reason that we're doing this is because before we go ahead and generate the unit mix, we want to kind of drop our corridors and cores into Finch. And I'm doing that because I actually want to now go in and make a few edits. For example, I'm thinking if I turn on my dimensions tab up here, you can see there that this is the correct size, but actually I want to pull this wall and land it on my grid line here. I can do that by just literally clicking and dragging. Maybe I want to, or I can click on my wall, come up here to align, click on my grid line and align it out this way as well. So really, we can kind of start to really personalize and make this kind of make sense for us in this project. I'm going to go ahead and open up my programs, because what we now see is that we've got this split of residential and circulation spaces. And this is great because in Finch, we work with assigning names or assigning we assign programs kind of as, you know, big picture stuff. So circulation obviously is elevators, stairs, corridors, and all these kind of things. But what we obviously need is also a bit more specificity. So we also have our space types. And if I open up this, we'll see that we have our corridors and our stairs. I'm going to go ahead and actually just turn off my centerline visibility here. Recommend you do the same. Just to keep the screen clean, you know, that's the main reason. It's corridors and stairs we've already stipulated for you. And this is really important because if we're working in Finch and we're going to generate a unit mix, then Finch needs to know, well, where can I have access to these units? And for it to know this, we need to specify that the space type is a corridor. To do this, to specify a space type, it's again the same kind of principle. We just double click to come further into Finch. I'm going to double click. Here I'm now in my space type. And if I click on this, I'll get a drop down here from this little toolbar, and I can kind of choose the space type here. If you've used the corridor and the core generation, it should already be a corridor. Please don't change it to bathroom or anything funny like that. That's just going to lead to a world of problems. Cool. Can I just double check that has someone in the chat here been able to generate a corridor and circulation and some stairwells?
Yep. Sergey managed.
Sergey managed.
I as well. Anyone who ran into any problems?
I definitely did. Lawrence did.
You managed to generate.
Yeah, I was able to play around with the plans a little bit, but getting a different corridor from what I remember before is like you really want to edit the center line, but to change the number of staircases, I missed that.
Okay, let me just quickly show you how we do that. I'm just going to use my story slider to slide down to the floor below. I'm going to fire up my generate unit mix and corridors just by clicking on the floor plate. Generate unit mix and corridors. And it's actually the top one. So usually it is easy to miss because you kind of go to all these weights underneath. But here you can use these sliders to really, you know, I can say I want between 7 and 8 stairwells. Might be slightly too many. We actually haven't got space for them there. But yeah,
so we just need to make sure that we have the center line in there.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is before you joined, we were drawing a center line in Grasshopper and sending that up into Finch. But if we haven't done that, if we've just sent a building mass, then what we can also do is we have this edit center line tool here. So we can use this to draw a center line in our project if we haven't got one.
Thank you.
It's really, really helpful when people ask questions like this because, as you can imagine, we do a lot of these onboardings and we talk to a lot of people, and so it's easy to miss stuff along the way because we can do quite a lot here in Finch. The reason that I also wanted to say that drop out just the corridor was not just to play around with the walls, but also to say that if we're working with uploading from Grasshopper, Revit, or Rhino, we can both upload masses into Finch, but we can also upload walls. So perhaps you have a project where you already have laid out the core. You know, maybe you're working with a tower and the cores are so specific that you don't want to then have to kind of manually redraw that core in Finch. Well, then what you can also do is you can send up those walls directly into Finch so that you can then start to generate a unit mix around your existing circulation space. And that's kind of, you know, how it would end up looking here if we uploaded the walls and the cores. Then it's just really crucial, as I said, that we go in and we stipulate that the circulation space or the corridor spaces in our cores are set as corridor spaces. Let's go ahead and click on our floor plate now on our 2 areas where we want to generate a unit mix. I'm going to come down to generate. And instead of the first option, we're going to choose unit mix around existing corridor. Finch is then going to start thinking. And again, it's going to start thinking, as you can expect, based on the information that we're giving Finch on the left-hand side. Pardon me. So we have the unit mix, percentages and areas. I want everyone to now really start playing around with these here because you also, you know, You work probably with different projects, different typologies, different developers and different clients. So now's a really good chance to kind of test the kind of unit sizes that you work with in your projects. Next to both the percentage and the size, you'll notice you have a little arrow. And if you expand this, you'll have something which I think will make lots of you working in North America happy. This is something that me and Jesper learned recently, is that minimum facade lengths. This is very important. At least we definitely know this is the case in New York. There's kind of lots of minimum kind of facade length standards for different unit sizes. So here we can stipulate that, and that's going to then count the facade with this unit and make sure that that's the minimum facade length. If we then come down to our unit weights, here we can of course play around with how much we want Finch to basically prioritize and iterate based on the unit mix and the percentages that we have up here. We also have our grid line metric. If I go ahead and turn up my grid line, and what you'll also notice is every time you kind of make any change in Finch, it's going to start kind of rethinking and reiterating here in the browser. He says, here we go.
Might I interrupt you for just a couple of seconds here regarding Andrew's? You had a problem starting the generation here. I have a question up in the right corner of the header where it says upgrade. Do you have an organization name besides that button?
Yeah, it does say AECtech.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. We'll keep digging here. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So we're, as we noticed, kind of made some changes here to our unit weights, and Finch starts iterating again. We come down a little bit. We also have our dimensions. So again, we have our wall widths. So our kind of partition walls here. We stipulate the thickness. Under constraints, we have our dual aspect size. So here we basically tell Finch that, oh, well, I want you to find every unit over a certain area. I want you to give it at least 2 aspects. So push it to the corners usually. Then we have our settings, where we have our resolution and our extension legs and angles. And always with Finch, we always have a little button next to it to kind of give you a little information. There's a lot of stuff here for you to play around with. So it's important that you spend some time now at this part of the session, just really kind of knocking these unit mix, these weights back and forth, and also kind of just playing around with these settings here. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, are the default weights, how are they set? Do you just kind of like set them all at 50% or?
Yeah, I mean, I usually go for 50% at most of them, and then I iterate. If I see, for example, they're not snapping to enough grid lines, then I pull that one up. Or if I don't care so much about the grid lines, then I pull it down. So it's more about, for me at least, playing around with it and see. And then there is actually also in the header the ability to open a parallel axis diagram. If you can show that one, Ruben, and zoom out a little bit, and that one displays how the solution you're working on scores. Actually, to be honest, this was mainly for us to be able to debug it when we were developing it, but then it turned out to be fairly useful. So we kept it there. But that also speaks a little bit about what the algorithm thinks about the current solution here.
I guess part of the question was like if you're asking a completely new user to get in and use Finch to generate some floor plans, and they've never looked at it before and they don't quite know where to start.
Yeah.
Is everything set up so that they could hit generate and get some sort of solution? Or is there, do they really need to start fiddling
No,
immediately
I would say that
Yeah.
the default settings are good to go.
Yeah.
But then of course we never know what kind of building that comes up and so on. So but
and what
it
somebody's
should be good.
priorities are or any of that?
Yeah, exactly. It should be good to go.
What we'll also notice at the bottom of our screen whilst we're iterating is we get kind of these three big figures for us. So first we have kind of the fit metric. This is basically saying the discrepancy in the floor plate size to being able to hit kind of all the exact, you know, this percentage mix of these exact sizes. So we can, I think this is a really good one because this can either tell us to change our unit mix, or it can also kind of advise us to kind of, if that's really crucial to the client to hit these kind of this exact unit mix, of course, then we can jump back into our modeling software and make some changes there. We also then have our mix. So this is how close we are to obviously hitting our unit mix, and also our unique units. In a project like this, we're going to have a lot of unique units with this undulating facade. If we're working with more kind of orthogonal, I was about to call it regular architecture, but that sounds so boring of me. But you know, more standard, perhaps off the shelf architecture, then we're looking for kind of the kind of lower that number of unique units is, then the better, because as kind of Jesper demonstrated, the ability to be able to reuse plans and copy plans is also really powerful in Finch. But as you saw, we can also kind of reuse plans across kind of units of different sizes as well.
So another question is, you had mentioned going back into the modeling software and changing the geometry. So if we were in a situation, say here, we decided that this unit mix is really great, we want to keep this one, but then we say, well, we don't really like the specific undulation of that facade, so we go back into Rhino, adjust the undulation, and then update it. Is Finch able to update that, but maintain the unit layout, and then
so you
update?
can always update the mass afterwards. But of course, if you change the undulation, the sizes of the units will change. So there's two ways to go about it. Then either you regenerate to get exact square footage again, or you say that I was happy with kind of the distribution of the units, and if it's 8 feet larger now, I'm fine with that. But we never so in the beginning of the software, we experimented a lot with kind of you uploaded a new mass and then it automatically tried to adapt. But that was kind of a chaotic way to design that things were just moving around all the time. So we decided to say that we never change anything automatically without kind of asking the user. So it's up to you to say, okay, I would like to regenerate on this story.
Yeah, that's good.
And just on that as well, if we kind of come out of our unit mix generation and then update our massing, all this information we've put in here, all the exact position of the unit weights, Finch is going to remember that as well. So we don't have to try and remember exactly where everything was. You know, we can just bring in the massing and then just hit generate and start again. And yeah, hopefully find an even better solution with the new facade. I'm actually going to go ahead and hit pause iteration here. As I said, we're going to run kind of up to 10,000. Even if it hits 10,000 and you want it to keep going, you can tell it to keep going. Don't know if there's a limit to how much we can, how many times you can keep it going.
No, but usually it finds the best solution based on the input you've given it fairly quickly. So if you want to try other things, you should wiggle
the weights
a little bit.
Yeah, and of course a genetic solver will it'll settle on an optimal solution, and then it'll stay there unless it finds something else in some future iteration.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably safe, like as soon as the units stop moving around, then it's
exactly.
found its first optimal solution.
And I mean, you should not underestimate the number of potential combinations when you have
Oh yeah.
50 apartments or you know, there's trillions of combinations you can test. So of course you can always, like all of this kind of algorithm, get stuck on a kind of a local maximum and so on. But in general, it finds a solution fairly quickly. Yeah, please go ahead, Ruben.
Can I jump in to ask how we're getting on with unit mix generation, and if Sergey, have you managed to get some units out?
I'm waiting to get to 10,000.
Yeah,
so
have you found another?
Yeah, exactly. Mine is going to be perfect. So I maybe missed the proper way to do this because I was only able to do I was only able to get to the menu to run the generations by clicking on one block of units, like on either side of the corridor. So I'm only designing that part. I'm not actually designing the full plate.
That's probably me forgetting to say, if I jump down to this, where do we have the other corridor? We didn't have one. It's just a case of once we select one area, just hold shift to then select the area on the inside as well. So that's how we do it. Yeah. Same kind of with the, you know, once we're trying to select all the floors, it's always kind of hold shift to collect information, basically.
Gotcha.
But I mean, that's also actually it's a good kind of case study that you're showing us here as well, because it's also important to remember that if we do have more complex buildings which do, like where the corridor does kind of naturally break up the floor plate into kind of multiple areas, then perhaps, like, you know, for example, if I was working on a project like this, I can imagine, based on, you know, how this project looks, that these units here facing the sea, this is kind of where I want my big units, and my smaller units are probably going to be facing the courtyard. And so that kind of gives us also that ability to control that as well. You know, we can select this area, put in a unit mix percentage, which is a bigger units, and then select this area and make it smaller. So that's also kind of a way that we can, yeah, kind of have more control over distribution of specific unit sizes. Once we've generated a floor, a mix like so, I'm actually going to hop back out to 3D. If I then open either my residential unit mix or my unique units, well, let's open residential unit mix, because then we're going to just see that this is the floor plate that we've generated on. And I'm going to select my floor, and on my keyboard, hit Control-C, or come up here to copy story from my toolbar. And then I'm going to come to the floor below and hit paste story. And we're going to see it paste below. I'm going to go ahead and hit paste for all of these floors. Give Finch something to think about. Awesome. What you'll notice here as well is as I kind of pasted all these floors out, how do I get back to the 3D interface? Great question. It's a case of, there's two ways to do it. Either we double click anywhere outside of the floor plate, or we click on this little massing icon at the top up here. I like to double click. Double clicking really kind of takes me back to early Microsoft days. So I like double clicking. Feels like a nice throwback. Here we've got, so yeah, I was going to say that whilst we're here in 3D, I mean, there were kind of certain numbers which I guess I have, my experience as an architect and you as kind of architects and designers have probably often got in the back of your mind, or stuff that you're trying to hit for the client or the developer. And that's usually like unit sizes and percentages. Those are kind of these like very kind of key figures that we're trying to hit. And this is where I can see on the right hand side here where I have this kind of distribution of all these different units. And this is what is also super fun in Finch, that we can highlight and just look at kind of certain programs. Once we get into space types, again, we can hold shift and isolate just our corridors and our stairs. And then we can look at all of our different units here.
By the way, Andrew, feel free to refresh now and see if it works for you.
Okay.
Drum roll, please.
The Finch logo is spinning.
Okay.
Success. Got it. Thank you.
Awesome.
A question on the unit mix, since we're looking at a 3D view of the building. I suspect I know the answer, but if we wanted to run a solution to try to achieve a unit mix over multiple floors, is that possible? Or is the unit mix generation only possible floor by floor at the moment? Do you have any plans to expand that?
Yeah, so it is a 2D solver at the moment. We do not have, or we're looking into it regarding the 3D, but we do not have it on the roadmap right now to do it for the full building. Our biggest priority is to generate better floor plans, and we're going into offices as well, because we've seen that most users, the workflow we see is that they usually do like a typical floor plate that's going to be used in the building, and then they usually copy it out and do a little bit of bigger units at the top and so on. Of course, we would like to get to that, to do everything automatically, but this current workflow seems to be quite sufficient. So we'll see when we get to the other parts. Do you would like to add something, Ruben?
No,
Oh,
that
oh.
makes no. I was just going to answer we have another question here in the chat about how we copied the plans to other floors. That was back here in the 3D interface. If I click on the floor, there's two ways we can do this. We either just on our keyboard hit Control C, so copy, how we would in a Word document or anything like this, or we can click on the copy story icon here. I then just selected the floors I wanted to copy to, selected this one, held shift, selected the bottom one to select them all, and then we can click on the paste story icon there.
Yeah, can you go through the corridor creation again?
Absolutely. I'm just going to go ahead and clear one of my floors. How do I do this? I go to 3D, click the floor, and just hit delete. Yeah. So do you have a center line set up in your project, Lawrence? You should do.
Yeah, I do.
You do. Awesome.
Yeah, Jesper gave a good walkthrough of it. What's interesting is like as soon as I click on that center line, I'm not getting any option to generate.
You're not getting this generate button, you mean? The toolbar's not showing up?
For some reason, no. But
if you click just not on the center line, but kind of anywhere on the floor plate.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
You click on the one place where it wasn't showing you anything. That's so frustrating.
Yeah, just click everywhere. Yeah.
And then, yeah, just this first option, unit mix and corridors. I'm going to go ahead and copy this floor back here. Okay, we're 2 hours in. We've generated we've kind of got a massing, or Jesper showed us how we can get a massing into Finch. We kind of showed one of the most complex ways that we can get massings into Finch for today's session through, as we said, kind of through Rhino, Revit, or Forma. It can be a lot more of a draw a mass, extrude the mass, and send the mass up. So it can be a super quick process as well. Although when I've seen Jesper work in Grasshopper, that seems like a very quick process for you as well. Let's so yeah, here we are. We've got a unit mix set up. What we're obviously now going to do is we're now going to kind of start solving the second puzzle, which is start to kind of look through our shared library of plans and start to assign some plans out to this project. And we're then going to kind of, for the final just under half an hour, we're then going to come to jump over to Revit and look at how we can then extract or bring all of that data out. As we've been going for like just over 2 hours now, I think we'll take just like 2 minutes or so if people need to get a drink or stretch their legs or do some star jumps or something like that.
It's not quite 5 o'clock yet.
Not quite 5. It is for us, I'm afraid.
Oh.
And then yeah, we'll get going in just a couple of minutes. Give Andrew a chance to catch up to where we are. I am also still here, so people can ask me questions as well in this time, if they have any.
Where are you based, Ruben?
We're based in a small little city called Malmo in the south of Sweden.
Okay,
So,
you're there too.
I am indeed, yes.
I could tell. Yeah, I could tell from the accent that you're not Swedish.
No, no.
Yeah.
My accent betrays me. No, I'm yeah, from the UK, but I've lived out in Scandinavia for a long time now. Have you ever visited? You ever been to this part of the world?
No, I haven't. I've flown through Copenhagen, but that's the extent of it.
You got pretty close to Malmo.
I would love to. I'd love to visit sometime.
You should. You can come by the studio.
Yeah, I have a good friend who worked at Picard Chilton a while ago at the firm that I'm at. He's in Bergen, Norway, right now. So
I couldn't recommend that city enough. I think it's one of my favorite places in the world. I love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I think it's the rainiest city in Europe, but apart from that, it's amazing. I was in a call earlier actually with some people living in, I think it was North Dakota, I think it was, and they it was amazing. They were showing me kind of how much Scandinavian influence there is in certain parts of the states as well. I thought that was really, really interesting actually.
Yeah, there's a big.
It kind of looked more Scandinavian than where I live in Scandinavia. It was a bit confusing. Okay, I think everyone's I didn't see anyone doing any star jumps or stretching their legs, but I think we can now start to kind of dive into plan generation. So I'm going to double click to come back into my floor plate. And then I'm just going to navigate to one of my units that I want to generate a floor plan in. And I'm going to start here in these units, these kind of 4 units here, these identical ones. I recommend, kind of like with any software, that we start with kind of a simple unit, get used to the tool, and then once we're more confident, we can start working and generating kind of more complex units. Of course, feel free to start and generating in one of these as well with these kind of curved facades. Finch is very good at taking, plans and kind of fitting them into more kind of complex shapes. So how do we get into plan generation? It's the same answer as before. It's a double click to come into the unit. And we then have this shiny generate plan option. I'm going to go ahead and click on this.
While this is happening,
Yeah.
when I double clicked on the unit, I saw a little pill that said sleep.
Yeah.
I
No, you didn't.
What that was about.
Well, that
So,
didn't work. No,
Yeah,
no, go
yeah.
on,
So,
Jesper.
so what you saw there was actually I can while we're waiting on this one, I could show you the
Yeah.
sleep pill what that is. I'm going to go into a if you're curious about it. Yeah. So if I can actually now I'm going off script here a little bit, but do you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here I'm just going to design a new floor plan here to show you, since you said you were tech enthusiasts and so on. I'm going to show this. So if I click this one, AI Copilot, then you get a little sleep. Then it's predicting, yeah, it's probably a bedroom, and of course it doesn't make sense because it's just one big room. That's why probably it thinks it's a bedroom. But if I start to draw more walls, for example, like this, I will get more suggestions, and it's fairly hard for this. This is a graph neural network working in the background, and it's pretty hard for it to figure things out when you don't have much to go on. But if I were to add more things like this, just draw something like this, now it starts to make more sense, of course. Now it thinks this is a great room, a hallway, bedrooms, bathrooms. This could be a kitchen, bathroom, and so on. And so what this is actually is a graph neural network based on just how things is put together, predicts what kind of space it is. And this is one part of the AI chain we kind of using. So this was also launched as a way for us to just try it out, how well does it work, and so on. So if you don't want to have a sleeping pill, you can always just click the AI Copilot and turn that off, and then you don't get these kind of suggestions.
Super cool.
Yeah, sorry
thought-
for interrupting you, Ruben.
No,
Yeah, sorry, we went off script. But...
No, Jesper, I might actually ask you to keep going here and go back to the project, because my generate plan is just not starting as quickly as it should do. So it'd be great if you could you can actually open this duplicate me variant, the one that I've been working in, if that would be okay with you.
Yeah, for sure. So is it this Ruben one?
No, it's that would make sense. It's the one called duplicate me.
Yeah, okay.
Which is my other name that I go by. Oh, no, maybe it's not. It must be the Ruben one, because this has no information in it.
Looks like this one.
Yes.
What store you were working on? Maybe we have some, it doesn't seem to be updated.
No.
How's your connection in there?
Yeah, it must be a little bit slow, I think. It was
yeah, but no worries. I can continue this one anyhow if you want. I remember you had 4 similar units like
I
this
did
here, and you were
indeed.
about to generate something here. So regarding the plan generation, I'm just going to fire it up by Ruben went into a unit like this. Someone got a sleeping pill. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to click generate plan. And what's going on here in the background is that we're analyzing where we have the different things, where we have the outside neighboring apartment. This tech is actually the same graph neural network that predicts different space types, because everything in Finch is a graph here in the background. I can show that later. And then as we wait here for it, yeah, it's really weird. It takes a long time for me in this variant as well. We're going to see some results popping in here. Might be some, it worked well when we did a demo here in the beginning. Might be some strange things with this variant. Let's give it a couple of seconds, see what if it figures it out. How's it going? Are we working in the same variant now, Ruben?
No, I've closed it out. So I'm not in that variant.
What does the fully compliant toggle do?
Yeah, so I don't know why.
You just close this and try refreshing this variant.
Yes.
That's
and I can go through the toggles here. Just give me a second. So the fully compliant toggle. So we have a bunch of things. Yeah, there's something weird with this variant. I'm going to go back to the one I was in earlier on. Just give it. I can actually open the full project here that we're going to send to Revit later. And just delete a couple of plans here for the example. See if it works better in this one. The beauty of live workshops, you never know what's going to happen. Let's see.
Maybe for the I'm going to try it at my end as
Yeah, it might be some problems here. So, but I can go through it in the meantime. So we have, for all of the results that are gonna start popping in here, we have some different scores, and that is basically how we evaluate. And the compliance, it's based on the graph rule that we're adding. You know, I think what the problem is here. Just give me a second here. I'm going to go back to you.
I'm seeing the problem as well, I think.
We are not allowing bedroom smaller than 10,000 square feet. I think that's causes some friction here.
Sorry, that was on me.
I just gotta
saboteur.
remove a couple of the things. Yeah, and now we have a lot of great. Okay, let's see if it. You go ahead, Ruben, and see if it works for you now.
Yep. Absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Sorry.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Should see my
updated that one.
I've got, you know, it's when the bar is always in the place of what you're trying to do. Hold on, sorry, I've got my screen sharing window. Yeah, it's always exactly where you don't want it to be. Okay, let's go in and hit generate plan again. And actually, it's great, Andrew, that you asked about the graph rules, because then we found the problem. Because the question about what does fully compliant mean? Well, fully compliant essentially means that the plans that we're filtering are the plans that are only going to basically fulfill the graph rules that we've stipulated kind of early in the project. So I'm so happy that we found it. It's such a good feeling. So yeah, that basically means that we're gonna be following these kind of spatial minimum requirements. And the reason it can be really good to turn on fully compliant is because, as we said earlier, we're also going to get kind of possibly thousands of these AI Finch generated plans as well. And if we turn on fully compliant, then we know that, well, you know, as Jesper said, these are kind of a good starting point. These are somewhere, you know, where we can like start to kind of iterate from. But if at least we put on fully compliant, then we know that we're not going to be basically just working with completely random plans. We're going to kind of have some logic to the plan, which we can then continue to work with.
But of course, as we showed here, Finch cannot figure everything out. The 10,000 square feet bedroom was just too tall order for it to handle.
I wonder if anyone's ever had a 10,000 square. I can't.
Jeff Bezos.
I might, yeah, probably. Under the compliance thing as well, if you have furniture in your plans, you can add ADA bounds and so on. If you get any intersection with these bounds, it also gets a warning under the compliance thing and so on.
Yeah, exactly. If I open it up here, we both have the graph rules. We also have objects, so collision detection also listed here. What's really great is that once if we actually have these graph rules open, so if I go ahead and I'm just going to assign this plan out, and then we're going to jump back into plan generation again, so we can look through the other filters. But if, for example, our project had stretched and adapt, and we have this kind of clash here of bed and one of the walls. This is going to show up. The node is going to turn red, and this is kind of a really nice, we call it kind of like an architectural spell check. So you can kind of see this over the whole project. You can see a list of all kind of object collisions, and then go in and kind of make sure that your plan is is working and is kind of following accessibility requirements and stuff like that, if we have kind of clashes with outer bounds. I'm going to jump to the one below. Here we also see that we're not fulfilling the kind of graph rule for these 2 bedrooms as well. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one because we're going to generate here. I'm just going to come to this tab to open up my space types. First, we're going to get a list of our personal plans from our plan library, and then we're going to get all of our organization plans. I realize I've opened a different organization here. You'll have a different organization here, but you should still be seeing some plans available. I'll actually just swap it over just so we have some consistency. Perfect. Here they are. And you'll notice at the top of each plan, we also have a score. And a score is obviously us basically telling you how close the original plan in your plan library is to fitting basically in this unit. So if it's 99%, if we click on it, we see kind of a breakdown of how we've gotten to this score. So if we open up adaptivity, we can see that kind of all of the rooms have basically had to adjust. So they're kind of, 98% of the original size. So very kind of small adjustments have had to be made. Obviously, if we lower the score, if we keep this tab open, we can see here the bedrooms are 78%. And again, once we kind of build out your plan library, and if you add constraints and rules, you can always kind of be confident in the knowledge that, like, your bathrooms, for example, if you've locked those are never going to get smaller, no matter kind of how obscure or strange the unit shape is that we're kind of generating in. As well as our score metric, we also have obviously our spaces and tag filters up here. This can be really useful for example, if we're working with multiple kind of clients or builders or developers which have very specific ways that they want stuff to be built, then we can of course go ahead and tag our plans by this, and then we can ensure that we're going to be seeing kind of all of the, if we're working on a project for them again, we can just filter by all the plans we've used in their past projects, and then we know that we're going to be kind of hitting their compliances and their rules and their standards basically. Can also update how many bedrooms I want for this unit. And also, if we're working across multiple regions, we can also attach that to the plan as well in the library. I'm going to go ahead and hit assign to unit here. And again, just like we did kind of at the when we were looking at kind of generating the corridors and the cores and also the unit mix, I can now go in and, like any other kind of software, we can edit, we can make changes to the plan as well. So that's both, we can come here and choose different doors. Maybe it's a strange door to have to storage. Maybe the pocket door was correct. But we can maybe we want a sliding door to this bedroom. And just flip the direction, and we can just change the door widths and everything here. Again, everything we input here is going to come directly into Revit for us. Awesome. Small discrepancy in size here, 1016. But I think we can, like we did before, let's go ahead and now copy this plan over to this unit on the other side here. Again, it's just a case when we were kind of working across the floors, we just click on our floor on our plan. We should have this blue outline to see that it's selected. Hit Control C, Control C. Click on the unit that we want to copy it to. Hit Control V. And like before, we've seen, so we've understood that the corridor is on the other side. So we've mirrored the plan here. And again, I'm then going to come in and I'm going to stretch this wall out here, this wall here. Right. I'm then going to come to union.
Oh, I think it was a little bit wider, this one. So you have to stretch the walls on the top as well.
I do indeed.
And
Good
of course,
spot.
you could just run the generation again, and all of this would happen automatically. But the difference is that then they would not be linked. Now, when you're doing this kind of manual move, copy paste, then you're in full control of how it behaves, and it's linked. So if you update one of them, the other one will update as well.
Exactly. And if we then, let's now jump back to 3D. If we just kind of work with these two units here, which are linked, we obviously are going to have some kind of change in this unit as we go down, because this facade is kind of getting smaller. But let's see what happens if we copy this floor and paste it to maybe the 3 floors below. Give Finch a chance to think. And also kind of an important thing to also note is that these, the reason that we're keeping them kind of connected as groups here in Finch is also really important, because then when they come out to Revit, they're going to come out as model groups. So also they're going to be linked for us there in Revit. We've copied this plan to the floor above, and if I now double click to open this, we're going to see that this plan is used in 8 units, but you can actually see that we're actually showing you the different sizes of the unit below. So we're seeing how the facade undulates, and thus kind of how the plan is adapted to the units below. Like so. Has anyone managed to jump in, generate some unit plans?
I've got a question. So I've copied and pasted a unit plan into a different sized room, and I think I missed where the option is to expand it.
Sure.
So that it.
Let's do it again. So I'll take this unit here and copy it into this one here. Control C and then paste. And there is a step that we are going to do first. So if the unit, actually, I'm going to show you on one of these other units up here, just because it's if I take this one here, paste it here. Again, this one's working. What I wanted to show you was basically an example where if we come in, if the wall is kind of not meeting the facade, then the first thing we want to do is take any kind of wall or room separators and stretch them out so that they're meeting the facade on the plan. And then we just come up and we have this union where we can perform a union Boolean of all the bounds. And if I click on this there, then we're going to basically fill out the space and meet kind of the bounds of the unit. Have you managed to make that work, Andrew?
Good question. So
when
yes, well, kind of. What happens when I do that in this particular unit plan? There's a great room adjoining a kitchen, and when I click the union, it merges those two into a single enormous kitchen.
Yeah, that will simply be.
Oh, and usually... I guess this is the divider. Okay, so this is where you were saying that you have to move the.
Exactly. If we have room separators, then we also
stretch that.
Before we do that, we just stretch those out to the.
How
do we do that?
I'm having trouble grabbing that grip on the end of that separator.
If you hold on. Look.
It's the grid line blocking you there. We have some problems with the grid line, Ruben. So if you turn off the grid line,
I can just turn off the grid line there.
And this is the one of the things we are looking to automate completely, so you don't have to do it. But it's always a little bit of a dance from our side, how much to
Okay.
automate and how not
Yeah.
not to automate.
Okay.
But this one will.
That one I got. Yeah. And I guess the furniture, whenever you union it, the furniture doesn't move around. You have to move that manually. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. If you select kind of any of the furniture, if you find the midpoint at the back of the furniture here and drag against any facade, then it's going to snap it to that facade as well. So you can kind of quickly orient it. But remember, if
it's nice.
If these are kind of linked and we pull this sofa out to the facade here, then
and then it pulls it on the other one as
indeed.
Well. Okay.
So I mean, if we want to unlink it, we can also unlink the unit as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. It's nice to understand all the capabilities and the limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is usually what we spend our days with our enterprise customers, that we have a very close feedback loop with, and this kind of question: what makes sense to automate? Should when you have linked, should the furniture be linked as well? And this kind of details on how you would like to work as an architect, because it is a software for architects. So it's
Yeah. Is there any way to like define constraints within the floor plan? Like you could say this furniture in this plan that I'm looking at, it's kind of aligned to a corner of the great room. And what happened is that the great room stretched a little bit, and so the furniture is now no longer against the wall, the wall dividing the two units.
Yeah, absolutely we can. Sorry, I interrupted you, Andrew. I was just gonna jump into one of the plans and show you that if you snap a furniture to kind of any separator line or to any edge, if we take the corner and snap it here, then if we stretch this unit, this is now going to be locked to this. So it's kind of going to be constrained to that facade there. So in that case, the furniture must have just been floating.
Yeah. Didn't quite do. So what, there's a red boundary and a blue boundary in this group of furniture that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Exactly. Up here we have the accessibility bounds. So if you turn that on and off, then you'll see kind of these
Yeah.
But you're telling me
and then you're saying that if I move that to the wall or to the corner?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, either actually. If you take the center point, the origin,
and
pull it to the wall, then it will fix.
So and I think what's important to mention is if you create your plans in a plan library and you have it attached to wall like this, when it's being adapted and stretched and so on, then it will be fixed. But when you're in the plan or the variant as we're working with now with the linked plans, if you're now moving a outer wall or the demising wall, I mean, from one of the plans, then it will not snap to it because it's linked to the other plan. The furniture will always be in the same place within that particular plan. But we can for sure dig deep into it later if you want to know the logic behind it.
Yeah, cool.
In the corner unit, I'm not showing. Oh, I am showing my screen. Am I?
Yes.
I hope I am. Yeah, okay. That would have been so embarrassing if no one had told me anything. Okay, in this corner unit, I've selected an option from the Finch generated plans because we're not getting any furniture as well. But we are kind of hitting the spatial standards that I was looking for because of my graph rules. And what I can also do at this stage is, once I've assigned this plan, is I can come up to my furniture tab here, come down to either Finch public objects. I'm not sure we have anything in AECtech, but in Finch public objects, have kind of a list of furniture here. So we can also then start to populate this out as well to make these, make these look more like our plans, basically. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign out one more unit before we're then going to actually jump across to Revit and have a look at taking our information and taking our data and then exporting it out to a kind of ready to use model. Let's generate one more plan here. 100%, that's always a good sign. I like the look of this one. So much storage space. Awesome. Let's assign that to unit.
Probably,
I think everyone you reach a point in life where storage space just becomes so important.
I'm gonna take a guess. This is not in New York.
No.
This site.
What do you mean? I've watched the TV show Friends. Everyone has huge apartments in New York, is that not?
Oh God.
Okay, let's continue to work in Finch. Can keep playing with your plans and keep generating plans and assigning them out. But I'm now going to jump across to Revit. Can I ask you, has anyone got Revit open? Or you do, Andrew? Awesome.
Yes.
Brilliant. And do you have the plugin downloaded?
Yes.
Amazing. So let's go ahead and actually start a new, completely fresh file here in Revit. Let's make an imperial multidiscipline file.
Are you
Amazing.
going to use the fully furnished project, Ruben, or what are you importing?
No, I'm going to work with actually the variant that we've been working on today because then we're not going to bring in, hopefully too much information. No, I think it's fun to kind of show the capabilities of the plugin as well, and also to show how we can bring in just kind of certain things. We don't have to. It's not kind of an all or nothing game with our plugin here.
Very nice.
So if we come up to add-ins and fire up our Finch plugin for the first time, of course, going to be asked to sign in like with our Rhino plugin. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my organization is correct. You shouldn't have to do that here under account, but just make sure that we're signed in. AECtech. Let's choose this one. What's the name of the plugin I've been in? Ruben Finch. And so this plugin that we have here is obviously also how we get information from Revit up into Finch. We do that with our upload massing tool here. With Revit, we work with conceptual masses. And as I said earlier, I think there's a few things that we can send up. We can send up our conceptual masses. If we already have levels assigned in our Revit project, then we can use conceptual floor, the conceptual mass floor. Is that what it's called? When we click on the mass and then assign out the levels, the floors from the levels. And as I said earlier, we can also kind of draw any walls and we can send those directly up into Finch. And we do that here under upload massing or story walls. But for now, what we're going to do is let's try and get some information out. So I'm going to come ahead to BIM and click on Import BIM. And that's going to pop up this window for me. And now we have a few things we need to choose from. So firstly, if we have multiple buildings in our variant in Finch, we can choose kind of which building to import. And then we also have stories. And this is actually the one that I'm going to use for this session today. I am going to just choose to bring in 3 of our stories. Obviously, the less information we bring in, the less time it will take to import. I'm just going to go back in and make sure I'm choosing the right story here. So I bring in the information that we want to be seeing. And then I have the option to, oh, you know what, let's actually open Revit as well. Have the option to create views and sheets and also to import furniture. I'm going to turn off import furniture just for today because sometimes that takes a bit more time. And I'm also not going to create views and sheets. I also have a kind of a larger model open that we can also take a look at. Before I go ahead and click on the shiny import BIM button, I'm going to click on wall settings. And this is really crucial because this is where we can basically tell Finch how to map walls from Finch to any kind of existing Revit wall families that we have in our project. So what essentially we're looking for is walls of the same thickness. So here for my outer walls, let's go for these retaining concrete walls. Should we go concrete story? No, let's not. And here for the unit walls, we're gonna create we're just gonna create our own wall type here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. And now I'm really hoping you all have some questions lined up to ask me and Jesper, because I'm going to go ahead and hit import BIM and we're going to give Revit a few minutes here to upload for us. Loading data. The spinning blue wheel. And I also hope, Andrew, that you're doing the same thing.
I was just finishing a floor.
Okay.
I'll do exactly that.
Then you'll do it. Awesome. Jesper, maybe you have some questions for me. Maybe I've missed something.
Yeah, but I think this mapping of walls that you've shown, that is a feature that we quite recently launched that has been very popular. Just the ability to map it to your own wall families basically saves quite a lot of time. Now we do not have a huge project here, but I was working on another project here with another firm that had thousands of walls, and just being able to get it in as a right type to their own was very appreciated.
It's definitely the one that when I tell people the most, I see like the biggest relief, especially if I'm talking to like a BIM manager or someone. I feel like they want to reach through the screen and give me a hug when I tell them that we can do this. So here we go. We've got these 3 stories have landed now in Revit for us. Let's go ahead. We see the levels have been created for us. Let's go ahead and jump in to one of these. Here we go. Let's jump over to this floor here. And let's look at our model group here and see kind of how the information has landed here in Revit. I'm going to turn off these scope boxes. This feels like a... Oh, I already don't have them on. Okay, let's go and lower our section box here. So we're going to have a kind of a look at our information, how it comes in. We have our, Revit walls and also the doors here. Click on these. So this is a Finch wall, but we can also then see that kind of these partition walls are using the correct wall family that we were trying to map to. Right, let's jump back out again. I'm just going to quickly hop over to a project I made earlier. and have a little look as well at the what we can also generate if we click on some of the other options. So to bring in the kind of the sheets and the area plans. So here we have our area plans by gross building areas and also our rentable areas. So let's go in and have a look at one of these, see how we draw these. So here we can see our area boundaries are drawn to the internal line here. And if we jump over to gross building, we can see we're drawing them to the outer line here as well. Let's close all our windows and jump back across again. Come back out to 3D. Turn off my section box so we can have a look.
You are so fast in Revit, Ruben. You spent too many hours in there.
I think there's some weeks where I feel like I spend as many hours in Revit as I do in actual buildings. It's a strange, strange feeling. Let's, and now we have 15 minutes left, so I think this is a great amount of time to now also, yeah, as you said, Jesper, take a little look at this feature that we've recently added, which we're excited about, but also we mostly just see a lot of excitement from our users. And that is the ability to generate or kind of draw all the computational power of Finch, the generative power, and also this kind of gold mine of the plan library, and actually use it right here in Revit. I think Jesper, you said it earlier, but you know, sometimes adopting a whole new software at a certain stage in a project can be a difficult sell to colleagues or team members. So kind of just this can be a really good way, I think, of helping people start to use what we've built at Finch in like their software that they kind of feel comfortable and feels native to them. I'm going to delete this room here. I'm going to come up to generate on my plugin, hit generate plan to click inside the unit. And then I'm just going to follow the instructions. So select a wall for entrance placement. So this one here. And I'm going to come up here to click finish. And we're going to start looking.
While that's generating, Ruben,
yeah.
How was it? How did you import the
model?
The model from Finch?
I came across to project.
Okay.
Then I chose my project from the drop down here.
Yeah.
Chose the variant that I was looking for.
Okay.
And then just came to the BIM tab.
Yeah.
And chose import BIM.
Oh, and mine says download BIM.
Okay, can I ask what version of, if you come to account, you should say what?
Grabbed the plugin from the Autodesk store.
Mm-hmm. Does it say up here which version?
Just today.
It is. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I can tell you already. There's quite a delay in the Autodesk store, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is 0.1.50.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a newer version.
There is a newer version. I posted it in the Slack channel, and it's also in our website. But it usually takes quite some time to update the ones in the Autodesk store, unfortunately. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be.
I guess I missed where the download would be on the Finch website, but maybe it's not linked within the app.
It's also here in the chat in the Zoom call as well. If that's helpful.
And in the app you can go to the user guide or the docs, and there you'll find it if you search Revit.
Yeah. Here we have the Finch docs, and under first steps, we have this create an account and install plugins.
Got it.
I can also post the Finch docs here in the channel. Actually, I can do a bit of a shameless plug here for Finch Academy whilst we're here in Finch docs, because this is somewhere where I've started to try and collect. I'll start to try to make little tutorials and kind of guides that you can follow if you're just getting started in Finch. And I think that this Finch 101 is basically what everything we've kind of done today. Not everything, perhaps actually a little bit more, but broken down into little videos. So if you need a refresher from anything from today, then you can. This is the place to go, I would say. Let's come back here to Revit where we've just hit generate plan. And let's go ahead and filter again. So let's say I want just 2-bedroom units. I'd also like 2 bathrooms, I think. I can also drop my score here if I'm not getting kind of the results that I'm looking for. Obviously, we say the higher the score in Finch, the better, of course. But let's, I'm going to go ahead and use one of these.
It looks like the Revit file has some problems identifying the outer walls here.
It might do so. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah. Let's go up.
I'll tell you why that will be. Is that when we're generating, doing generate plan in Revit, what we're looking for is, if we come to the type here, so we want this function to be set as exterior. And that's how we basically recognize that this is where the external. So if I change this now here, make this an exterior wall function, come back and hit generate plan again, choose my entrance, come to finish. Yeah, I'm getting some results here, but some. Oh, here we go. Let's drop this one in. It's also good when we kind of drop these in. I don't think we kind of looked at it in 3D as again last time once we generated a plan, but everything kind of comes in exactly as you'd expect, as it does from when we import BIM from Finch. So it comes in as a model group named kind of from your plan naming system, landing on your levels. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to come back to 3D and look at it here. With your furniture as well. So yeah, currently we have the ability in our plugin to kind of do all the mapping of the walls, but when it comes to furniture, it's a case of just going in and swapping them out for, your furniture families that you use. And that's why I think it's helpful if we try and use as many kind of repetitions of model groups and stuff like that. So we only have to do that a limited number of times.
So we have a question here.
Can you explain the reason why we are generating plans in Revit versus finishing that process in Finch? Great question. It's essentially just to show you that there's 2 ways that we can do it really in Finch. There's the normal workflow. If we had more time than we had today, we'd suggest that you finish this project in Finch. You go through and you assign out all the plans. But what we're kind of demonstrating here is that, maybe you've already worked on your unit mix in Revit and you've worked out your corridor placement and all this kind of stuff, and then maybe you I don't know, maybe your boss is telling you that you have a deadline in 2 hours, and instead of sending everything up into Finch, you can just go ahead and like work with the generate plan feature right there in Revit instead.
Yeah, and that's also kind of a part of our philosophy as a company. We're trying to keep the workflow as open as possible, so you can go into the software and out to the software when you want, because the design process is seldom super linear. So if you want to change something, you can always go back and plug into other systems and so on.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely appreciated. I think in a way it gets back to that question that I had asked earlier about if we wanted to adjust the waviness of the facade, can you upload that and then regenerate everything? This is like the opposite. Whenever you've gotten to the level of specificity that you've got a fully built out Revit model and you want to just like adjust a few units, you wouldn't want to go the whole way back up into the web app, do all of the stuff up there, and then pull it back down into Revit whenever you've got the ability to do exactly that within the program. So that's great.
Exactly. Amazing. I've stopped sharing my screen now because I've shown you, I was going to say I've shown you everything, but I don't think I have shown it. There's definitely more stuff we could play around with. But time, yeah, we have 5 minutes left. So I thought maybe we can, yeah, just open it up now a little bit. We'd just really love to hear kind of your feedback and your thoughts and yeah, whether or not you can see projects right now or upcoming projects that you think would be fun to test Finch in, or general thoughts, very appreciated.
Yeah, I think navigating the interface is a learning curve. Like there are times that I kind of got lost and it's like, how do I get back to where to click like the 3D mesh or yeah, so I think it's probably easy as I get more comfortable in the application, but for the beginning, it's like, oh, how did it get to this point? You know, like just trying to find where the pages are. Like it's not quite like, you know, maybe you can press like back, and it takes you to, I don't know, like it's just for me, it's a learning curve, navigating all the different pages.
Yeah, that's always a challenge. I think one thing that I noticed, speaking of the user interface, is that there are some functions in modeling when you're in the Finch modeling interface that you can that have like keyboard commands like delete to clear a unit. You know, those are things that are kind of intuitive and a lot of people might figure it out. But the other thing that people kind of get used to is having that right click context menu. And a lot of the options are there in the right click menu, but not all of them. Like clearing the unit is not one, or at least if I'm remembering correctly, that wasn't one of the features that's in there. So as I'm sure that's one of the things that you'll get to that as you continue building out the app and work through
but I think
consistency in the interface.
I think that's great feedback, and I like using the right click as well. It's not that common actually in the web environment, but I agree we should add more
in
things
our industry
to
though, everybody's
exactly
should be used to it.
Yeah.
I was experimenting with using a bunch of different corridors, and I don't know, I ran into a few different problems, like getting like some symmetry in the stairwells. Like I ended up basically with you know, I guess you could imagine a hotel that had 2 interior corridors. So getting the stairwells to go in the same place, like say from the front side of the building to the back side of the building, was a challenge, but I can tell that you could kind of just make those spaces, like pick the pieces of the puzzle that are working out, copy them over, make sure the program is specified, and then it'll develop from there.
Yeah, and yeah, to be honest, symmetry is not the strong side of that optimization algorithm in general, and the way we usually recommend it, if you know that you want a perfectly symmetrical building, you just split it in the middle, generate half of the side, and then you can always mirror it with the manual tools. But
Smart.
So there are these kind of workarounds when you get used to it. But of course, I would also appreciate it if you could toggle it on or something with the symmetry button maybe and get it.
Yeah, just to hop on that as well, when we're generating a unit mix, if we have a like a U-shaped building or a building which is, and we do want symmetry, we can actually, if we draw a wall to separate the whole kind of unit in the whole floor plate into two identical ones, we can actually then select them both and generate, and then Finch will kind of recognize that those are two identical unit sides and create two kind of identical unit mixes as well.
Yeah, that's. May I ask, are all of you going to the symposium that's part of?
I'll be there.
Yeah. Very nice. I'm going as well, so looking forward to meet you there in person. Yeah. Okie dokie. It's 11 o'clock here in Sweden, Friday evening, so I'm going to let Ruben go home here soon. I really appreciate everyone took time to join the workshop. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to just send us an email and so on. We'll do our best to help you out here. And I hope to see you all in New York as well.
Jesper, I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
As far as this trial goes, how long do we get to experiment with this?
Yes, we can. You can play around with it here during the weekend, and then we're going to downgrade you to your regular account on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.